Yo, YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy SalvationsElite. We're back with another video, man. And I'm glad that you guys could join me today on another beautiful day of the week, as it always is. And, you know, talk some Call of Duty, talk some spawns on frequency. Obviously, this week is the qualifiers for the Pro League, which I actually ended up not making a video about. So, you guys definitely need to go check that out. I'll probably make a reaction to it and a predictions moving forward for the Pro League after it. You know, definitely watch that this week. Pay attention to that because there's a lot of good Call of Duty on this week. So hopefully some more content for some more learn from the pros down the road as well. Again, I'm glad we can both take our times out of the day to talk about some hardpoint spawns on frequency. I've been doing a lot of hardpoint on the channel this year for Black Ops 4. We'll talk more control in the future as I get more experience playing it and, you know, understand the game more, watch it more. We just haven't seen a lot of it so far this year, really. And, you know, we have a lot to learn when it comes to control still. So we'll continually be updating that as we go along. Search and destroy, we're going to do some learn from the pros setups on for search and destroy here soon. I promise that. So that'll be coming soon as well. A lot on the channel, man. I'm excited. And again, today we're talking hardpoint spawns. So frequency hardpoint's an interesting hardpoint because of how small the map is, how symmetrical the map is. Because of the symmetrical nature of the map, a lot of it comes down to patience, trades and baits, and a team's ability to play together for them to win a map like this. And so, of course, as always, understanding these spawns is really important. And there are actually a handful of spawn differences on this map, even though it's very symmetrical, which is pretty interesting to me. I thought it'd be almost identical, but, you know, there were some differences, which we're going to go talk about here in a second. So as you guys know, when it comes to callouts on this map, it's kind of split into two sides. There's the orange side and the blue side. The orange side is the second hardpoint side. The blue side is the third hardpoint side of the map. So just to keep things organized, we'll kind of identify, you know, orange side, blue side, color coordinated. And again, most of this map is really symmetrical, and that's kind of how callouts work as well on this map. So just to keep things organized, you know, as we talk about these rotations and these hills. So obviously hill 1 is in dubs, and there's some pretty obvious spawns. As you guys can see on the blue side of the map, there's two massive green boxes, which are the two most common spawns for this map. And those are going to be the most common spawns for this first hill, where you can almost always expect players to be spawning. If you have control of the blue side of the map, that's where you're most likely going to be spawning. And then if you have control of the orange side of the map, so the spawns on orange side are a little bit more irregular. As you guys can see, there's two smaller green boxes, which are the most common spawns for that side of the map, depending on how much map control you have. If you're trying to retake the hill, more than likely you're going to be spawning in that farther right side green box. If you already have the hill and have a little bit of map control in mid, then you're probably spawning in the closer green box to the hill. So if you guys can see the spawn up by the fourth hill, that's a little bit irregular, especially it's more for when you're rotating hills or changing hills. Sometimes it's a fairly common spawn while rotating. So the biggest thing to be aware of is you have control on that right side of the map. On the orange side of the map, you have to be aware of players, you know, pushing through that right side on the flank, on outskirts, because they're spawning there at the fourth hill. Because it's so important to maintain those spawns going into the second hill, you got to be aware of those opposing teams spawning out there up by the fourth hill. You know, that's just a possible irregular spawn that you need to be aware of depending on your positioning as a team. So going into the second hill, the team that has control of the orange side or the right side of the map has a little bit more obvious, you know, predictable spawns. As you guys can see, two massive green boxes, one that's a little bit more irregular, but they're roughly basically all the same type of spawn. You're always going to be spawning that far back side of orange. Basically, if you have control of those orange spawns, you're always going to be spawning the back side of that map, regardless of, you know, what area of the back you're going to be spawning. It's always going to be back there. But if you only have control of the blue side of the map, then it's pretty irregular spawns. If the team that has control of the hard point and has control of the orange side spawns, if they have a lot of map control, they're pushed up into their control, almost looking out towards mid, then you might get some of those more irregular spawns, maybe underneath the third hill, potentially in blue control, you know, or some of those other spawns on that left side of the fourth hill. So it just really depends. But you know, if you're not spawning in those two most regular spawns, that more than likely means that the team that has control of the hill is pushing out up towards that fourth hill a little bit, and that's why you're spawning out towards the third hill. So moving on to the third hill, basically is in a lot of ways the inverse of the last hill. The left side, the blue side, has very predictable spawns, and the right side has very unpredictable spawns. And so what's weird about this hill, though, is that you can actually spawn both teams out at the same time, and nobody will be spawning at the back, and then both teams will be spawning kind of bottom map and top of the map. But the main normal spawns for this map is when one team has blue control, they have the hill, and then they're all spawning at the back side of blue, and then the team that is trying to push the hill is spawning out towards fourth hardpoint there in that massive green box. So that's the most common spawns. When you start getting the weird flip spawns is when there's mixed control in the hill, and you know, both teams are kind of pushing into the hill at the same time, and nobody really has anchored control of the back of the spawn. So this is really a funky hill, and it's important to have that spawn and hill control at the back, because this is the biggest money hill on this map. So at Vegas, the team that won this hill won the map 83% of the time. When I say winning the hill, I mean the team that had the most points on this hill throughout the whole map. That's the team that won 83% of the time, which was the highest percentage of any of the hard points on that map. So this is the most important hill to win on this map. And so it'll be important for you guys to understand, you know, these spawns moving forward. So the fourth hill, again, has some pretty unpredictable spawns. As you guys can see on the blue side of the map, there's 2 big green boxes. Those are the most common spawns, and that's what you're going to be seeing most of the time if you have control of the hill. So on the orange side of the map, the spawns are very much determined by map control. If your team didn't have anybody running on outskirts, then you'd be spawning at the bottom elbow of blue side. But if you guys did have some outskirts control, then you'd be spawning on that far, you know, top right spawn behind the second hill. That's where you normally be spawning. So again, it comes down to map control. And again, if you're not spawning in some of these normal locations, you have to be aware that that probably means that the opposing team is pushing in an unusual spot. So pay attention to your mini-map, be aware, communicate with your teammates, and figure out why you're not spawning in these normal spawns. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Obviously, it's a little shorter, just going through the hardpoint spawns at the end of the day. But with that said, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. A lot of time goes into making these, so just going through, mapping out all the spawns, figuring out where the most spawns are. But I appreciate all the support. I appreciate the shares, the likes, the comments. So knock that all out. I really would appreciate it. But as always, guys, I'm your boy SalvationsElite, and we'll see you next time. I'm out. Let's check it out right here. Let's go.
Number 5.
Specialist coming in. Crash comes in from both teams. It's going to be a tank fest. There's a lot of meat.
Oh, Mr. D with the 3
piece. It's a 5v1.